Welcome to HealthPod Africa, where we have insightful conversations on healthcare in Africa and related issues, with the aim being to inspire action towards patient-centered care, as well as improved access to affordable, quality care. In addition, I aim to promote resilient and sustainable health systems. I am your host, Cynthia Oloch. Now, in this first episode, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself, why healthcare, why this topic is close to my heart. And I'll also talk about what you should expect in subsequent episodes. I am a lawyer by profession. And some people might wonder, Cynthia, why healthcare? Why are you talking about healthcare? Why not the law? So healthcare and law are actually quite intertwined. And the health sector is a highly regulated sector, as it should be, because it deals with human life. So the law and healthcare is quite intertwined, interconnected. So I believe that my professional background and my passion for healthcare are actually marry in quite well together. Now, another reason why I'm passionate about healthcare is, and maybe I'll just share a personal story where my health advocacy began. I've actually been involved in health advocacy for maybe close to 7 years now. And health advocacy basically means championing for improved access to healthcare and ensuring that everyone has access to affordable quality care. Now, my journey in health advocacy began, like I said, almost 7 years ago when I became a mom, a first-time mom. And I had a beautiful baby boy. And as any first-time mom would imagine, I was extremely happy. I was extremely blessed to have this beautiful human being in my life. And then a few months later, he fell sick. And the journey between him falling sick and we eventually lost him, unfortunately, when he was about 6 months of age. And I think that whole experience ignited my passion for healthcare. Now, my son was suffering from a rare condition. Now, this condition was unfortunately not diagnosed until he passed away. So they couldn't treat what they didn't know because we had no diagnosis. And we only got a diagnosis at the autopsy stage. Now, maybe I'll just take a few steps back to the time when he was unwell. And I think the first doctor who realized that it was a serious condition was a doctor who told me that, Cynthia, I think I know what we're dealing with. So I have good news for you and I have bad news for you. So he told me the good news is that I think I know what it is. I think I know what your son is suffering from. And it was a genetic condition, an inborn error of immunity. So basically, he was born with an immune system that wasn't functioning. It's also called a primary immunodeficiency disorder. So it's a genetic condition. And he was suspected to have one of the most severe ones. So it's called severe combined immune deficiency. So that was the good news, that we know what it is, like we know what we are dealing with. And he told me the bad news is that I don't think you will find anyone in Kenya who knows what to do. So you can imagine my shock. My baby is sick and the doctor is telling me, I don't think you'll find anyone in Kenya who knows what to do. And when I asked him why, I mean, if you have an idea of what this condition is, why wouldn't I find someone in Kenya who knows what to do? And this is what he told me. He told me that for a long time, and he was a pediatrician who was, I'm guessing, close to 70 years old. So quite experienced, quite respected. And I trusted him. So he told me that this condition is actually included in the syllabus in med school in Kenya, but it's not taught. It's actually there, but it's not taught because it is believed to be non-existent in Africa. And that is why you will not find anyone who knows what to do in Kenya, because while we have it in the syllabus, it is not taught. We actually skip it. So this is what he told me. And this was almost 7 years ago, like I said. And unfortunately, my son passed away not too long after that. And that's when my journey began with health advocacy. And I dug deep, I consulted widely just to understand more about this condition. I found out that it's actually treatable. The type of inborn error of immunity that my son had was actually treatable, but only if diagnosed early. And the earlier it's diagnosed, the higher the chances of success in treatment. So that ignited in me, I guess, the passion for healthcare and creating awareness and making sure that no one else is told that I suspect that this is what your child or your loved one has, but I don't think you'll find anyone here who knows what to do. So I believe that awareness actually saves lives. And that's where my passion for health advocacy comes from. I aim to create awareness, inspire action in whatever little or big way I can to save lives. Now, moving on. I've talked about the connection between healthcare and the law. I've talked about where my passion comes from and that I've been involved in health advocacy for close to 7 years now. And I've always wanted to start this podcast, and I guess there's no better time than now, So here we are. And maybe before I move on to what we shall cover in subsequent episodes of this podcast, I'd just like to say that everyone interacts with the healthcare system in one way or another. So you don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to have a personal story that, moves you to advocate for healthcare. We all interact with the healthcare system. So we all have a right to speak about healthcare. And just by way of example, in Kenya recently, the Social Health Insurance Act came into force recently. And there's been a lot of debate about it from everybody, and rightfully so, because everybody interacts with the healthcare system and everyone has a right to share their views on issues that affect them, right? Now, what should we expect from this podcast moving forward? First of all, I will cover patient stories. So I will have patients come share their experiences, their challenges, and where they feel there is room for improvement, either in terms of their care in medical facilities, in terms of availability of treatment options, availability of pharmaceutical products, and also their views in terms of the policy, legal, and regulatory framework from a patient perspective. And I highlight patient perspective because patients should be at the center of care. Because the reason why we have healthcare systems is for the benefit of patients. So I aim to focus on patient stories. I believe that lived experiences which patients share, patients and their caregivers and their families, they have a lived experience which only they can share. And this lived experience informs research, informs science. The science behind medicine is informed by lived experiences. Even the law, policies are made for human beings. Health policies are made for us, for me and you. So I will be sharing, I will be having patients here with me, sharing their stories so that we can, hear their lived experiences and how we can ensure that healthcare is patient-centered. Something else I shall be covering in this podcast is innovations that are shaping healthcare in Africa. The continent that we live in faces some unique challenges, which makes the continent a frontier for health innovation. Innovations aimed at addressing these unique challenges. So this is one of the things that we shall be covering here. We shall have industry experts, innovators in the health sector, talking about innovations that are shaping healthcare. We shall also talk about the legal framework touching on these innovations. For instance, digital health and the new challenges that it poses with respect to issues such as privacy, cybersecurity when it comes to patient data, and other issues that, innovative technologies that are shaping healthcare in Africa. Now, moving on, we shall also be discussing climate change and its impact on healthcare, with a specific focus on Africa. Now, I will quote the WHO Director General, who said that the climate crisis is a health crisis. So climate change affects the social and environmental determinants of health. And so with increased temperatures, how is this affecting healthcare? How is climate change affecting housing? How is it affecting people's access to water, clean water, safe drinking water? So we shall talk about climate change, the climate crisis, and how this is indeed a health crisis, and how health issues should be at the center of climate discourse. Now, moving on, we shall also be discussing issues to do with infrastructure and healthcare. How does infrastructure impact healthcare? And this will relate to issues such as electricity. I remember recently reading a story about a little girl who has been living in a hospital for 2 years, 2 whole years. This is in Kenya, a remote area of Kenya. So she has been living in hospital because her family lives in a place without electricity. She relies on supplemental oxygen because of complications with her lungs. And because they have no electricity which can charge the batteries for the equipment she uses for her supplemental oxygen, she has been living in a hospital for 2 years. And so infrastructure such as electricity has a direct link to healthcare. So this is some of the things we shall be talking about. In addition to electricity, there's issues to do with water, housing, and other infrastructural issues such as clean cooking, for instance. How does that affect one's healthcare? These are some of the issues we shall be talking about on this podcast. Moving on, maybe I'll point out one more thing. Where are the opportunities? Where are the opportunities in the continent for promoting access to affordable and quality healthcare? And when I talk about opportunities, I'm looking at opportunities for, one example is public-private collaboration. How can the private sector collaborate with governments to ensure that there is universal health coverage? How do we improve access to quality healthcare? How do we improve access to quality medicines, quality medical products on the continent? So we'll be looking at where the opportunities lie, opportunities for public-private collaboration in healthcare. This is just a nutshell of what we shall be discussing. It's not conclusive. Feel free to share your ideas on what you think we should cover on this podcast. If you're interested in being a guest on this show, if you're involved in health tech, if you're involved in climate change and healthcare, if you're a medical practitioner, if you're a patient, feel free to let me know what you think we should talk about or people we should host on this show. Thank you for tuning in to HealthPod Africa. I hope to see you on the next one, where we shall continue to have insightful conversations on issues shaping healthcare in Africa. The podcast is now available on all streaming platforms. We shall have an episode every Tuesday, so please look out for that. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.